If you are a student right now staring down the barrel of a rebuttal paper, well, you have come to exactly the right place. Today, we're going to break down how you move past just disagreeing with something and start building arguments that are truly powerful and persuasive. So let's get right into it. You know that feeling, right? You're reading an article, an opinion piece, and this little alarm bell just starts ringing in your head. You might not even be able to put your finger on exactly why, but you just know the logic is shaky. Well, that feeling, that's the beginning. That's your first step towards building an absolutely masterful rebuttal. So what are we really talking about when we say rebuttal? It is so much more than just saying, "Nuh-uh, I disagree." A real rebuttal is a skill. It's almost like a surgical procedure. You're dismantling an opposing argument piece by piece with total precision and solid evidence. And notice the key words here: targeted and evidence-based. A rebuttal isn't just offering a different opinion. No, its entire purpose is to expose the cracks and weaknesses in the original argument. You're not just building your own castle, you're showing why theirs is built on sand. But why even bother? Well, for one, by systematically taking down the other side's points, you make your own position look absolutely rock solid by comparison. But honestly, it's bigger than that. This is a core skill for critical thinking. I mean, in a world that is just flooded with misinformation, knowing how to properly debunk a weak argument, that's basically a superpower. And it's so important to remember that arguments don't just happen in a vacuum. They're always a response to something. Maybe it's a huge news event, a controversial new study, a new policy. That's what the Greeks called kairos. It's the opening, the perfect moment that invites a debate. The article you're rebutting exists because of a kairotic moment, and your paper, that's you stepping into the conversation. All right, time to put on our detective hats, because before you can write a single word of your rebuttal, you need a target. You need to find a flawed argument that is just begging to be taken apart. So, what are the clues? What should you be looking for? These are your big 3 red flags. Number 1, who wrote this? Do they actually know what they're talking about, or do they have some kind of hidden agenda? We call that their ethos. Number 2, are there cracks in the logic itself? These are what we call logical fallacies. And number 3, look at their evidence. Is it solid or is it flimsy, maybe super old, or totally cherry-picked to fit their narrative? Let's zoom in on those logical fallacies for a second. First up, we've got a classic cheat move, the straw man. This is when an author creates a weak, distorted, almost cartoonish version of their opponent's argument because, well, the real one is just too tough to beat. If you spot this, you found a huge weakness. Next is the ad hominem. It's Latin, it means to the person. And that's exactly what it is, a total diversion tactic. Instead of actually dealing with the facts and the logic of an argument, the author just starts insulting the person making it. It's a dead giveaway that they can't win on the merits of the debate. And finally for today, be on the lookout for the hasty generalization. This is when someone sees 1, maybe 2 examples of something, and then makes this giant, unsupported leap to a conclusion about everything or everyone. It is a massive, and I mean massive, logical flaw. Okay, so you've found your target. You've picked an article, and it is just full of these red flags. Now it's time to get out your skeptic's toolkit and really start to dissect it systematically. This is the analysis you have to do before you even think about starting to write. Here is your checklist. It's pretty simple. First, what is the single most important thing the author wants you to believe? That's their core claim. Second, what is their real goal here? Are they trying to inform you, persuade you, or maybe just provoke you? Third, who are they talking to? Who is their target audience? And finally, and this one is so key, what are the missing pieces? What information have they conveniently left out? Okay. Now for the fun part. You've done the detective work, you've dissected the argument. Now it's time to build your own case. And any strong case needs a strong blueprint. So let's talk about the most effective structure for your rebuttal. This is your game plan. It's a point-by-point takedown. You start with your intro, summarize their argument fairly, and then bam, you hit them with your thesis. That's your core reason why they're wrong. Then you dedicate your body paragraphs to taking on their points one by one. You isolate a specific claim they make, and then you bring in your evidence to prove it's flawed. And you always end each point by explaining the so what. Why does this flawed idea actually matter in the real world? Now, here's an advanced move that will seriously boost your credibility with your professor. It's called a concession. This is where you actually agree with a small part of your opponent's argument. I know, it sounds a little weird, but it shows that you're a fair, nuanced thinker. You could say something like, While the author correctly identifies the problem of X, their proposed solution Y is completely unworkable because. See? That simple move shows you've considered all the angles before you land your much bigger blow. Okay, so theory is great, but let's see how this all comes together in a real-world, super current example. Let's imagine you've been assigned an op-ed that argues everyone needs to return to the office full-time immediately. Let's break down how we'd rebut that. So the author claims innovation only happens face-to-face. Your rebuttal? You hit him with the hard data, a 2024 study that shows the exact opposite. They claim remote workers are less productive. You identify that for what it is, a hasty generalization. And you counter it by bringing up the concept of deep work. Then they present themselves as this expert on workplace culture. But you did your research. You investigated their ethos and discovered, oh, would you look at that? They own a massive commercial real estate firm. That's a huge conflict of interest. See how it works? Each claim is met with a specific, targeted rebuttal. And that brings us to a really important pro tip. You don't win a rebuttal by being the loudest person in the room or by being mean. You win by being the most logical. You win by being smarter than the argument you're facing. So represent their points fairly and then just systematically dismantle them with better evidence and clearer thinking. It's all about being firm but fair. So now you have the blueprint. You know how to spot a weak argument from a mile away, you know how to dissect it, and you know how to build a powerful, logical rebuttal. The world is absolutely full of flawed arguments, so the only question left is, which one are you going to take on first?